Hi, I'm Anna, and what I liked most about this year was the freedom to express my creativity through my artwork. The first unit we did this year was the Saudi doors. The Saudi door opens as a card. Inside the card, students create a self symbol using Prismacolor pencils or mixed media. The products assessed are the Saudi door and the self symbol card, while journal work is seen as developmental and assessed as a product at the end of Unit 2. I first began this project with a sketch of what I was thinking about doing. I then began the long process of creating my Saudi doors. This whole project exemplified my personality, and I did the entire thing using watercolor paints. Not only did I explore my personal identity, but I also got to learn a lot of new things in watercolor and in personal trial and error. In the next unit, students review the elements and principles of design studied in Art 1 and research a variety of abstract artists and abstract art movements. They create an abstract drawing, a painting, and a sculpture based on their photographs that focused on chosen elements and principles of design. The first thing I began with was choosing an artist. I chose Stanton McDonald Wright. These are a few of his artworks that really stood out to me. The next step was to create my own artwork using some of his ideas. This entire project was made with acrylic paint. The next step was to create a sculpture based on what I had just painted. I first created a sketch of what I was thinking about doing. I then made it using white clay to sculpt exactly what I was thinking. The next step was to glaze it and fire it. The whole purpose of this project is to be able to sketch something that is straight in front of you, so that's what I did first. I then tested the colors in order to get it just right for when I began painting, and I needed to practice my shading skills. This was my final piece, and I ended up doing the whole thing using acrylic paint, which really helped with me because I had a lot of errors and I was able to just go over them. For this project, we needed to find a Renaissance painting, reenact it with friends, draw it, and then paint it. I first started with a sketch. Next, I painted swatches to decide exactly what colors I wanted for the clothes and skin tone.
In this project, we produced a large watercolor painting of a double door that also functions as a card. The door opens to an original calligraphy piece representing our own cultural self in 3 different ways: the calligraphy style chosen, the particular name, word, or saying chosen, and the image and colors used to embellish the written word. In my painting, I chose a barn door in the outside, representing my life back in the US. For the inside, I chose the watercolor techniques of saran wrap to create a textured background, and I used markers to write the words. Knowledge is power, because this is something that my mom has told me a lot as I have grown up. In this project, we created an abstract painting using the inspiration of one historical painter and a photograph that we took on our own. I used a picture of an ear as my starting point. My inspiration for this painting began with Pete Mondrian's painting called The Flowering Apple Tree. He painted this in the spring of 1912 and started with a series of other paintings, all becoming more abstract, until eventually he became into The Flowering Apple Tree. I took away his color scheme, the complementary gray and blue and orange movement, and the general idea of taking a physical object such as a tree or ear in my case, and painting it in a more abstract way. I created solid black lines as outlines and the general shape of an ear, and I used the color and movement to create the rest of my painting. My artwork is an original because I took a picture of an ear and looked at it in an abstract way, only taking specific lines and shapes from the actual image of the ear and transferring them to the painting. I also created my own kind of harmonious movement throughout the painting that is different from that of Montreal's. In my painting, I used the reference of my previous drawing, which was a still life sketch that I drew from observation. I used 3 objects, including a moose, camel, and pine cone. However, I changed these to fit my painting style and overall effect. For example, I used surrealism to make the pine cone the same size as the animals in the picture. Also, I had a reference to drapery with black lines crossing the background of the painting. This is an abstract interpretation of drapery. Although it was inspired by the abstract paintings and used their style to help guide me, my work was original because I took elements of the painting that I liked and applied them. I did not copy them. For example, the first image I took the black and white idea, the straight lines, and abstract style, and the second one I used the style of the idea of disproportionate items. In this unit, we learned to apply a few strategies used by Renaissance painters to devise a harmonious composition and to show realistic proportions when drawing and painting the entire human body. We then attempted the realistic compositions in preparation for the painting. We took pictures of groups of people as carefully organized compositions based on Renaissance paintings. We then used the figures as realistically as possible on paper that had been structured as a golden rectangle. I have only gotten to this stage, but after I will paint the background using a linear perspective. In my painting, I imitated the painting of Personal Encounters by Piero de Francesca. First, I took a picture of the painting, and then painted the reenactment using the golden rectangle. Then I sketched and painted the reenactment using acrylics to create depth.